stamping, embossing, layering a whole lot of different textures. These are all techniques that show up on your mixed media page that stop you mid-scroll. Well, today we are breaking down how to use them and how to layer them all together so that your pages actually look like the ones that you are saving on your Pinterest board. Hello, welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Anna.
And I'm Megan. Thanks so much for joining us today for episode 19, where we are continuing the mixed media saga.
Dun, dun, dun. So all of those mixed media topics that we didn't talk about last week, and maybe ones that you didn't even realize were mixed media, because I didn't. So I went through and I looked at what the most top 10 asked about mixed media techniques were, because I thought that's a great place to start. What is everybody else looking for? What are they wanting to learn about? What do they not know how to do? Because I mean, I feel like for the most part, a lot of the techniques that we do are pretty simple and repetitive, right? It's just like how you layer them, what products you're using sometimes changes that technique, and it can make it look one way versus another way. Also, a lot of times I feel like just certain people just have a knack for creating different looks with the same technique too. I mean, you like can't not think about that. And some people are just really good at certain techniques. Some people are just really good at it all.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I wonder if it's also the way that they're taking their photos. And I say that knowing like we take a head-on shot or like that top view, but when you're looking at like even the layered pieces or like the close-up pieces, it's not always right on. Or some people are just really good at taking their photos of their layouts. Some people, I don't know why, it's like super simple, but just some of us are better. Some people are better than other people. I don't know if it's that they're using a really nice camera, but I've used a nice camera and I've used my iPhone camera and I've gotten different results depending on the day. Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about taking photos of layouts today. So let's back her up. Okay. One of the techniques that was on the list that we haven't talked about or mostly talked about was stamping. And like stamping. I know we talked about like using watercolor type stuff or sprays on the stamp or whatever, but yeah. So how often do you stamp?
Oh gosh, I don't stamp very much. I think I've stamped more lately just because of like Crafty Maven group challenges. Mm-hmm. Because like I think it was either April or May that was like floral, and I have a lot of flower stamps, and so I did a layout that had flowers, and I did some stamping then. If I'm doing like smaller projects, I think I go to stamps. So like traveler notebook size projects or cards, I'll do stamping.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of mixed media on your cards in like traveler's notebooks or no?
Not so much on my cards. I would say probably more in traveler's notebooks. But I really haven't been using traveler's notebooks. Like I think the most recent time was for like a December daily for 2024.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I just kept that really simple. I did stamps and then embellishments and paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to use a ton of traveler's notebooks, and then during National Scrapbooking Day weekend, I pulled out one because I was like, hey, it's been a long time, and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, I should do this more, and haven't. Yeah. But with that said, I haven't created a ton. Like I've done some small stuff, but not anything like big. This weekend, I for sure have to get some stuff done because I was going to do stuff last weekend, and then it. There was more weekend or more to do than weekend. So
yes, That happens way too
Right.
often.
And I know we've talked about that so many times, like people probably
Yeah.
hate how, but I want it to be I want it to be these honest conversations, right? Because like sometimes we can have all the intentions. And I know like I feel like stamping is one of those things where I have all these intentions of stamping because I've bought in a ton of stamps. Like I know I don't have as much as some people because I've kind of, especially later on in my journey, I've learned that I just don't use them as much. So I bought less. Like even with dies, I did that, like the actual manual dies, not the electronic dies. Cutter anyway. And I just realized, oh yeah, I'm not really using these, so I'm not going to waste my money on it because dies are really expensive. But even stamps can be really expensive. So like you kind of have to have an idea of what kind of stamps you want. What are you going to use it for? So I would never ever suggest to somebody who is new to mixed media, be like, oh yeah, go out and get a whole bunch of stamps. I might say grab one if you want, but you want to get something that's like super versatile. So like when you do mixed media, do you just use, like, I know you mentioned flowers. Now with the flowers, are you stamping that and cutting it and using it as like an embellishment and adding like media on that way? Or are you stamping it on your layout?
I do both actually. I think recently I've been stamping directly onto the layout or the page or whatever I'm using. I find that's a little bit easier. I know a lot of people are into using like I don't know, the Misty tool, I think is what it's called,
Yeah.
where it's like a book and you put the stamp on the one side and then you put your paper and you get a perfect image. That's like so much work for me. And I don't have a Misty, I have a Tim Holtz one.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
Yeah, and so sometimes I'll use that. I'll do that if I'm doing like a card and it's a smaller surface. But if I'm doing like a big page, usually I'll pull out like my stamp blocks and I'll just do it like freehand it. If for me, it's just so much more simple.
I feel like with mixed media, when you're talking now, granted, and I know we've talked about this, about stamping is a mixed media. I don't care. You cannot convince me otherwise. Stamping is a mixed media technique. It for sure is. But how you utilize it in mixed media, I feel like it does change a lot. Like if you're using it for like titles or like just a phrase on there, a lot of times Citrus Twist has a lot of like little phrase word phrases and whatever, and those are nice to just like add to your photo or like something really simple. But like on a background, I feel like having like certain types of stamps is better. Like flowers are nice sometimes, but I feel like you kind of really have to have a good vision for how you want it to be before you start. Where like I've seen like Vicky does it, not Vicky Booten, but the other Vicky P. She does it a lot, and Katie she designs for Arden Studios. She does mixed media, and she uses a lot of stamps and on her background, and like she does like travel-y type ones or like more, I want to say generic, but it's not really generic. It's just something that you don't care if you see the whole thing, because I feel like that is different. I know in one of our kits we had Heidi swap like almost background ones, and they were square. So those actually were a little bit harder to use because if you're not careful, it can look really blocky. And we've talked about that with the stencil too. So there is that to it, but you can just add pieces of it, and then it's not so perfect. And it adds like a lot of character to your mixed media. Where like when you're doing a title or something, or like fussy cutting like a flower out or another piece, because I've done that with other stuff. Like I have a Stampin' Up coffee cup and I've, stamped that and added it to stuff, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. So stamping with on the background, I think looks really cool. You just kind of have to not care that you're not going to see it, right? So it's one of those things where I think people we can overcomplicate it, right? But you also have to be okay with it not showing. And I know that's hard for some people. And I think I think it separates the really good mixed media people from people who like maybe at the beginning, so more of your novice or beginners, or people who really want everything to have a purpose and a meaning on your mixed media. Because mixed media, not to say that there's never a purpose in it, because there always is, but I think when you put a lot of stock in that purpose, especially because, and then you want it to be seen, it can kind of get you distracted from the overall, like that it's just adding an element. And I know we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about like spraying on the stamps and stuff, or like using watercolor. I think depending on the type of ink can get a whole different look. And like you can also use like an ink pad on your layout. Cassie has done that a couple of times where she just like runs it across and stuff. So I thought with the stamping, because stamping is just pretty like generic as far as like you have like some kind of fun, cool stamp and you use it throughout, and like either in clumps, or I say clumps, that makes it sound so bad, in certain areas where you're going to build your embellishment clusters. There we go. I know I have the words, guys. I know I have the words. And then it can add like I said, that fun little like, ooh, there's something there. But depending on the ink, I think that really is what like levels up the stamping as the mixed media element.
Well, and I kind of feel like, so if you kind of build your page per se before you plan it out a little bit, because I feel like with mixed media, a lot of times I will make a plan, and then as I'm going I kind of adjust that plan. But if you plan it out when you're doing stamps, and you can do you do some stamping on the background itself, but then you also do some stamping and then just fussy cut around the stamp, and then you can like tuck those layers in, so that if you do end up like the background pieces, if they do disappear or whatever, then at least you can add something in the rest of the layout. And I think that's kind of what I like about stamping, is if it does happen to disappear, if you had it on your background and you just went crazy and you covered it up, then at least you still have that stamp. It hasn't actually disappeared. So that is kind of one of the nice things about stamps, is it is something that you can just redo and add it in layered throughout your clusters or wherever you want to put it on your layout.
Yeah. Well, and you can even create designs depending on what the stamp you're using. You can do like diagonals or almost, with words, or even like just a shape or whatever. So then if part of it isn't seen, you're still seeing elements of it that expand throughout that whole layout. And I think that's the thing with mixed media, right? Is that there's all these little goodies that you like can keep finding if you're looking at the layout. And the good ones are ones that you want to sit there and figure it out, and you want to see, oh, where's that? So I like that. I like that idea with the stamp. I don't know if I do that enough, because like I said, I often will put it away and I forget about it. Like I'll use the stamp pad, or that element of it, but I won't actually use the stamp. And you can get some really cool looks with stamps for sure. So I don't want to diminish it, but I feel like it is just very simple. So it's kind of, you got to play around with it how you want your look to be. And I think that if you're really take the time, like you said, to build that layout out ahead of time. And I know for some of us who do mixed media, we for sure do not do that.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
But
Yeah.
but there's a funness in doing that sometimes, right? There's special things that can happen when you actually think about it ahead of time and you really plan out how you want at least certain areas on your layout.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of ink when you're stamping for mixed media do you like to use? Because I thought that's a good transition into like the different types of inks that you can use.
So a lot of times I was an avid, close to my heart, like I was a consultant and I just was a consumer too. So I have a lot of their inks. So I use a lot of close to my heart. But if I'm just doing like black, a lot of times I will reach for like stays on, just a black stays on ink pad.
Yeah.
And my embossing, because there's like a clear embossing one ink pad that you can get. That one I believe is a stays on too.
I think I use a Versify.
Yeah, I think I have that one too.
That one is I think what I use for embossing. But
Embossing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, those are usually my go-to. I do have some distress oxide inks, but I'm just like, I love everybody else's products or videos and like layouts and things that they do, but for me, I've never really been like huge into Tim Holtz. I will use his stuff and it's amazing, but I don't know why. I'm just not drawn to use them in like those really in-depth ways.
Well, I wonder, sometimes it's like when you first start and you get into mixed media, depending on like who you're following and the crowd, the group of people that you're following, because I feel like with mixed media, like scrapbooking mixed media, we're just starting to catch on to the distress elements of all the goodness of all the distress products, right? And I think that's the great thing that Tim has done is he has amazing color ranges, but each of the products work a little bit different, but yet they work together, right? So you get like you can get really cool looks with using the oxides, using just the distress stain or spray, like or just their ink pads, because he has just the regular ink pads, and I have more of those than I do the oxides, and I'm just starting to utilize the oxides. And I think, but like there's a lot of art journalers and stuff who that's like mostly what they use is Tim Holtz stuff. So I think it's just like where you get in, and then you like once you get hooked on it and you start realizing what you can do with it, I feel like then that it's like the switch is like super easy, and the next thing you know, you have to have all the colors, you know, which there are a lot. And I'm finding like with the kits, it's really easy to add the different products with the distress, because you can get really cool different types of looks, but their color range, like I said, is really huge. So I know I can find a color that's going to match with what we're doing also on the page. Because I know the oxides, if you add water to it, you can do really cool resists or like lift offs, which is really awesome, which you're not going to get that with a dye ink, or even like alcohol inks stain pretty quickly too, right? As far as
I believe so. Yeah.
Now with alcohol inks, you can put a whole bunch on your page, especially with gesso, and like it'll do really cool things. So you're going to get like, it's going to be way more vivid in a different type of way, but the colors like go together differently. Like they blend differently than like the distress stuff. I think it's just the difference between the dye and the alcohol based, I think. And I could be wrong in thinking that the distress is more of a dye ink versus like a alcohol ink. I believe that's what it is. So I like how I'm an expert, but I'm not really an expert in it because as you can tell, I'm not a Temples distressy. Though I'm like I said, I'm starting to learn more about it, and I'm like, oh, this is really awesome, and these are really cool. Because like some of the inks, if you add water to it, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that is really cool.
But and then there's
do you have any of like his alcohol inks and stuff like that?
No, I don't have any of the Tim Holtz alcohol ink stuff. Well, and like some of the alcohol inks are not just Tim's, there are other like different designers have come through and helped with those too. I do have some of his regular distress ink pads that are not the oxides. I have more of those, and I played more with those, and those are really nice, rich colors too, I will say. And like, I mean, you remember when I came in to scrapbooking in 2014, everybody was inking everything, like all the edges. So like you use like distress inks essentially, especially if you're going more for that vintagey, more the cream based as opposed to the white based. And I feel like that's changed a lot in the 5 years after I started, going from like the cream to like, oh, now we're just using white, and now we're kind of going more towards creams again for background stuff. So it's interesting to see how that plays out with how people's styles are now. So it's interesting.
That's interesting.
I'm trying to think of other ink brands that I really enjoy.
Have you ever tried
Pinkfresh Studio has quite a bit of ink stuff, and but I've not I don't think I've really tried any of their ink pads. I've tried Altenews, and theirs are really nice. Like I really love Altenews. But I don't know if I do as much like mixed media with it a ton. Like if I'm going to use it, I use it more of a watercolor as opposed to like stamping. But they have like amazing, beautiful colors, and their ink pads last forever, like a long time. Like I have ones even before I took a break, and they're still good. Where like I have some Stampin' Up, and the color's starting to change. And Stampin' Up, their colors change a lot over time. Like someone gifted me a whole bunch of Stampin' Up like old ink pads, and a lot of the colors did not. I don't know if Close to My Heart is similar to that, and they are as time. It must just be the formulation and the type of ink that it is, but so that's definitely something to think about. And Allie Edwards, she had some ink pads for a while. I don't know if she still does the ink pads.
And I don't know about
I feel like those colors it started to change too.
What about Catherine Pooler? Is it?
I've only tried a little bit of her stuff, I think. So I haven't really tried hers. A lot of people like that. I've tried some of the Lisa Horton ones because I've had some in the kits, and I really like hers. She does some of hers are a little bit different compared to like the other companies, which I think is kind of what you need to do if you're going to be in the inking business. Right? It has to be a little bit different, because otherwise why wouldn't you just go with, the heavy hitters, right?
Right.
Right. So I don't know. Is there anything else with inks that you can think of? I'm sure we'll have some comments from some of the ladies that do a lot more inking.
Right. What about Simon Hurley? Does he do inks?
Yes, I believe so, because he does a lot of card stuff, and he has a lot of reinkers, but his color range is not a lot. There's not a lot.
Because he's still pretty new.
He's a newer.
But he works with Ranger, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like Tim Holtz.
Yep. Just like, and the alcohol inks are all Ranger, but they're just Ranger, I think. So, and a lot of the older designers were using a lot of just whatever Ranger has. So, but yeah. So, I know I tried the reinker for the dark. It's like a dark navy blue, and that one was really pretty. But I've not tried his actual ink pads. So, well, now we have Vicky Booten 49 and Mark, or I should say 49 and Market and Ranger, and those ones are really nice too.
Are they?
So I've mostly tried the reinkers as opposed to the ink pads, but they're really pretty colors. So
what do you do with reinkers? Do you just use them like watercolors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're super concentrated. So
yeah, they are. I have a bunch in my stash, and I think a few of them are pretty old, like probably like 10 years old. And I'm wondering, like, do you think they would still turn out okay?
They might. I mean, I would just think you might have to use more water because they might have like concentrated even more.
And that's what I've kind of wondered.
Okay. So
I should just play with it.
Put it in a palette so that you can just add water until you, I mean, the color may have changed depending on like with the lighting situation where they were stored. So that would be my only concern is that, the color might not be quite the same of what it was, but you could still use it. You just have to unconcentrate it.
Yeah. Water it down, maybe. Yes.
And just see what the color is, right? That word is in there. I knew I could find it if I tried hard enough.
Oh gosh, words.
Right. It's a really hot day today. It's like the hottest day in Washington, and we have a heat wave. It was like 90. So
wow, that is crazy. I don't even think it's getting that hot here. It's like in the 80s. Like so nice here.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice. The sun's out. It's been nice and warm, but it's hot. It's still hot. It still makes you not want to cook anything, you know.
Right. Yep. It's summertime.
Yep. Well, yes and no. See, that's the thing here in Washington. It's not really summer yet. It's not summer till the 4th of July here. So we have fake summer. This is called fake summer. I think it's like fake summer number 2. Because tomorrow it's going to be 68 and it's going to be cold and it's going to be in the low 60s. So
wow, that is crazy.
So I know. I was just thinking about that and I'm like, but then in a couple of weeks it'll hopefully warm up a little bit more and be a little bit better. So anyway, so you got to take the warm days. Well, we can.
Right, you do. Yep, enjoy it.
Yeah. So, so stamping inks is definitely a fun little layer. And I know we mentioned this last time, but definitely if you're going to stamp, depending on the type of ink, if it's going to reactivate with water or any other kind of liquid, you want to keep that in mind, because if it's not going to move, then you can put it on the bottom and then build other layers on top. But if it's going to move, or if any liquid gets on it and it comes up, you want to wait until, or add something either over top of it that is like you don't mind lifting up. Like I will say, if you use just a layer of like something with stamping and inks, and then you put texture paste over it, especially if it's just like a blank texture paste, just a whipped texture paste, it'll come up in that texture paste, and that looks really cool. So like depending on what you want your look to be, you can kind of manipulate your other products around it and stuff. So, but I mean, if you put it on another layer, I always feel like it looks really cool if you add a little media, you add some kind of stamping, and then you add a little bit more, and then you get like this really cool like builded look And that's pretty simple and like easy to achieve. And then go from there. Okay, so embossing. So when I think of embossing, I think of two different kinds. So I guess we can talk a little bit about the two different kinds real quick. But I wonder if embossing, when people are looking it up, if they're thinking about like embossing with like the heat gun and embossing powder. I think.
Yeah.
But
that's what I
know.
would think. Yeah.
Right.
I would think that that's what they're looking for, because that's what it started out as, right? Like that's always what it's been.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, because you can also, when you're talking about embossing, you're thinking of like a paper or a piece of something that has that raised or indented look. And
that is true. I forgot about that.
And you can do that. I've seen people use an ink pad over top of the raised part, so like it creates like this really cool look. But you have to have some kind of embossing folder.
Yes, you do.
And a die cut machine. So a manual one.
Yes.
So like there are a lot of people that have those, but I feel like, or I wonder if it's going to be a less of a thing as we have more other types of scrapbooking mixed in, like I'm not going to get that if I'm a junk journaler.
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe if I'm an art journaler, if I had one for dies, I might use it that way. I've never bought an embossing folder though.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have none.
Oh, wow. I think I still have quite a few of them. I mean, I didn't buy like tons and tons of them, but I probably have like 5 plus. I need to find them, because I forgot all about them. And I actually still do have my little cuddle bug. That's the only, I never had like a big shot or like any of those like really big die cutters.
Yeah, the big ones.
Yeah, I just have the little cuddle bug one.
I had We Are Memory Keepers, and it folded, the arms folded up.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a little bit more compact, but I didn't use it that much. And you could only use the thin dies. You couldn't use like the bigger ones, like the big shot. So it made it difficult because I had to be very mindful of the dies and I just, for how long it took to just do the whole process, it was not enough for me. So I ended up giving it away. So
yeah, it is quite the process. You have to pull it out of wherever you store it and then find the right supplies. And it is quite the process. Yeah.
And then eventually you got to keep getting the in between pads.
I've had to replace mine.
The thing with the We Are Memory Keepers, theirs warped so bad and stuff. Like I felt like it wasn't long after I used it that I felt like I needed new ones, but I think it's just like how it works, it's just how it works because it's going through the thing. Where like the big shot ones, they have the thick plastic ones, and I don't feel like, but even after a while, you have to get new ones.
You have to, you do.
Because they can crack and stuff. So, but anyway, we just went on a tangent of die cutting, but there are a lot of card people who use them still. So like,
definitely.
For me, I was like, I don't want to waste the money. So I just wonder how that's going to look down the road. Like, I guess if you're a card maker, it would be something that you probably would be like a lot more interested in versus if you're just like a mixed media, like it's an extra thing. Like, I'm not sure if I want it.
Right. Well, and when I think of mixed media, I think more like, I guess, fluid products, not like, machines and all the extra things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. So, okay. So let's go back to like stamp embossing, which is an extension of stamping. And that's where you take a sticky stamp pad, like the ink is sticky, and then you stamp the image or phrase or whatever that you're using on a piece of cardstock, and then you add a powder to it, It could be clear, it could be metallic, it could be a color. And then you dump off the excess. So whatever sticks to that sticky ink that you used, and then you use a heat tool to heat it up. And it's like a little powder, and all the little powder pieces like meld together and create a really cool look to it. It is really fun to do, but oh my gosh, embossing is like not my fave either. It's a lot.
It's time consuming.
It is.
And it can get messy too. Like sometimes after I do it, it's like for days, I will find the powder just randomly throughout my desk. I'm like, I thought I cleaned this up.
Yeah. Yeah. It sticks to it. It's almost like glitter.
Yeah.
Though I will say, so I used to use a lot more embossing when like earlier on. Not so much now, probably because I just do other things. But one of the things that I actually do, speaking of glitter, is you can add glitter to your page, to something, a little like spot or whatever, and then, or like a stencil, and then add the embossing on top of whatever that is, the stenciled area after you lift off the stencil. And then you can put that, like I said, the embossing powder on it and heat it up, and it creates like a thing, a layer, a crust, if you will. But it keeps like the glitter in. So I've done that with glitter to keep the glitter from like going all over the place. So I mean, the thing is, you have to be careful because it's glitter, so you're using a heat tool which has a fan, so you do have to be careful. But let me tell you, when it works, and it's awesome, and it can be a really fun look. I don't do it nearly as much, but that was one thing that I've done and use it like on like some kind of texture paste and stuff.
You should do like a reel or a YouTube short, because I'm like, how would you even do that without spreading it everywhere?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of exactly how I did it. It's been so long since I've done it, but yeah,
I might have to try that.
But you definitely, I think I use like something like some kind of like matte medium instead of like an actual like glue or whatever, right? So that way it's still kind of clear too. But
I might try to do that.
I'll have to. I wonder if I probably would have to look and see the layouts that I've done it on, because it's not that many, but it's definitely something that I used to do more.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Well, over the years, I've got rid of my glitter because
I know,
glitter gets all over. But the embossing part is really cool because you can use it for like elements on your like a stamp, and then it'll show up a little bit more through the media. So that's really cool. Or like titles and stuff, or if you emboss it, like especially like a good white emboss, you can put it on stuff, and it looks really, really fun. So embossing can look really good. It's just a lot. So I think embossing is one of those things that you kind of have to have a plan ahead of time how you're going to accomplish it.
Oh, definitely.
So, and I feel like embossing is a much more card person thing, because you can do like titles really nicely, or like stamped words really nicely. I feel like that's where it shines the best, honestly. Or like a really fine looking stamp that's intricate. So like even flowers, that would look really cool. You could do mixed media on it, and then do the flowers and then emboss them. So
what about diamond rocks? That's
still an embossing powder.
Yeah.
So you I think it has to be double heated. I think that's the key to that. So I've used it a few times, and the pieces are different sizes, I think, in it, and there's more pigment in it. So it's very pigmented. Like the purple one, it like if you put it on white cardstock, you're for sure having the purple like underneath. So it's
Yeah.
so it can look really good. I feel like that does not look as good with like a crisp stamp though. So you for sure don't want something.
Okay.
I've added it with like glue and then did the glue. I did that on some like wood pieces. Like I added it, like did the glue and added it.
Oh, that's
And
right. I
heated
think
it
you
up.
showed me that.
So, and that looked really cool. So it's just, yeah, I just felt like it's not as good with fine like stamps, but maybe I'm not using it right too. So, because I've only tried it a couple of times. So I know that's on my list of things to do for shorts or like to show people how to do
right.
or whatever. So, because it's embossing, it's just like I feel like it works better if you're double, and sometimes you have to double heat it anyway when you're embossing to like sometimes for whatever reason it doesn't heat up enough that first time because you don't want to keep your heat gun on one spot and like too long.
Yeah,
but who wants to burn your paper? I've done that. Done it.
Have you done that before?
Yes,
I've never done that.
I burnt it. Not like horribly, like, oh my God. Well, okay. I think maybe one time it was like, oh my gosh, that was a lot more than I meant, but yeah. Because I'm gonna make sure this
it is done.
I really love my heat tool. I use it a lot. So
yeah.
Sometimes I overuse the heat tool probably more than I should.
What heat tool do you have? Do you have the temple?
I have the long circular one. Hold on.
Because I think mine is a Stampin' Up one, and I've had that one for like 26 years. I've had that one forever.
So mine is.
Oh yeah, that's what mine looks like too.
Embossing heat tool by Marvy. Model 2500.
Did you just get it at like Hobby Lobby or something? Michael's?
No, because I got it in Hawaii. So I don't know where I got it. I don't know if I bought it on Amazon. But that's probably a good guess. Or I got it at the PX.
Oh, yes.
Because back when I first started scrapbooking, the PX actually had a section, and they had it for what it was an okay section that had, die cuts with a view pads and some other like, stamping and stuff like that. So they did have some stuff. And then I realized the joys of other places.
You woke up in Hawaii, the rest of the world.
Places. I bought a lot of stuff online when I was scrapbooking in Hawaii because it was so expensive at Ben Franklin's, and even because that's like a glorified Michael's essentially, but it's just more expensive. So I did get some stuff there, but that was more like the name brand stuff and even then it wasn't like, I don't think it was all brand new. Yeah. Just because of how long it takes to get everything there.
Right. Yeah.
So that's really why it was nice when I joined Scraptastic, because it was the first time I was getting new products and trying new things.
Yeah.
Instead of the old stuff.
It's crazy to think about us like way back then.
I know.
Like, how we started out just as like Michael's or wherever, Ben Franklin or whatever.
Yeah. Well, but it really set the tone for me, because then I came back to the States. Like Hawaii's not the States, but back to the mainland, and I was went to Michael's, and I was like, oh man, this is a lot of it is still very cheap, and because I had mostly bought stuff online because I watched everybody on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. We very much encourage nice things. Not to say that like I don't get stuff at Michael's and stuff, but I'm particular about what I buy there now, just because I'm not going to just buy stuff to buy stuff, which it's like I want better quality paper. So depending on what kind of thing I'm doing will depend on if I get it. And that's why I liked going to Joann sometimes, because I could get a little bit more, but of course you're spending a lot more.
Yeah.
And then Joann's is no more. So
I know. So sad.
they messed that up for me. That's okay. It's okay. It's so easy to buy stuff online now. So I know
it is.
it's like with coupon codes, a lot of the stores have coupon codes. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, like going into Michael's or Hobby Lobby, you're like, oh my God. Of course, and then like you see the area shrinking. So it's a little sad.
I know, it is sad.
Okay, so we have a couple other little things that I thought we could just quickly talk about, and then we'll finish up because I don't want this to be super, super long.
Yeah.
But so some of the other things that people are looking up that are definitely part or could be adjacent to mixed media is like layering with like tissue paper or texture paper, which it's interesting because it obviously it is a technique, but I feel like it's a little different because it's like the thing that you add after. But then I got thinking about it, and like if you're art journaling, like people use tissue papers or like rice paper elements and like almost like collage paper and then like napkins and stuff. Like we use that. I use that quite a bit in mixed media, like on an art journal page. Maybe not so much on like a page, like a layout, but so whenever you're using something like that and you're going to attach it to the background, like you really want to be careful what you're doing underneath it, like the media, because you're probably going to use Mod Podge or a matte medium, right? And those are going to lift up whenever you have that is if it's water soluble. So, and then it looks weird because then it gets all mixed.
Yeah.
And then whatever you're doing on top of it, depending on the finish, if it's translucent or if it's like more of a shiny, or like matte versus whatever, it depends on the look. And then depending what you do on top of it also will be different, right? So I honestly, for like a layout, I'm not a really big fan of putting it on the background. I feel like it almost looks better if you're tucking it like behind, like in with your papers and stuff. And then you can, because you can crumple it a little or you can bulk it up by adding a whole lot of layers of them, and then it adds like a texture that's really fun and cool and brings interest to the other things on your page. But I know that people do like to do that, and I've seen it because I know I've added some like napkin type elements to some of my kits, and I've seen other people do it, and it does look cool. And like in an art journal, it looks really cool. You can like do like some really cool things with like tissue or like napkin type tissue paper and stuff. So I don't know. Do you use a lot of like tissue or like rice paper, like any like papers like that?
I don't. I have in the past used tissue paper, and I actually have like a whole drawer full of tissue paper that I have saved for scrapbooking, but I don't really use it. I have the design team ladies have used a lot of the tissue paper that you've sent them on their layouts and art journal pages.
Just from in the box because I want it to look pretty, and I know that you can use it. So like it's kind of,
and the paper that you get is really pretty too, like the floral and all that.
I try to find ones that I think are gonna match the kit. Like this month, this like June and July are both gonna be more vibrant and like summery and like that kind of stuff. So but I mean it's just that little touch. I know I've used tissue paper, like actual tissue paper in layers. I feel like that just looks really cool. You get a really thin layer, but you can like I said, you can add multiple sheets and then get something really cool and then tuck stuff in it. And I think that's really where like texture type papers shine, is when you're putting it behind your photo or like in some kind of cluster or whatever. You really can manipulate it and like really get some really cool looks, you know. by layering. And I know that's hard for some people. So maybe at some point we can either talk about it or I'll do more videos on like actual layering. I know I have a couple of videos that I just posted from National Scrapbooking Day, because that is one thing I love to do, is just layer things. So, and I know that's pretty hard. Like some people just have a hard time with it. And I think it's just depending on your style too. Because I think that goes in that mindset of like, oh, I don't want to waste this paper. For whatever reason, we have like this hoarding problem with the paper, you know, which I get because sometimes you only get the 1 or 2 sheets of that paper, you know, you get it and then it's gone and you can't find it again, especially if it's Vicky Booten products.
Yeah,
sure, right? You're like, you didn't get it, you missed out. But so I get that aspect of it, but like sometimes if your layers are too thick, too big around things, then it just doesn't balance right. So, but some people can make the bigger layer, like in between each layer, wider or thick, bigger, and they make it work out really nicely. So I think it just depends on the papers too, and it depends on how confident you are in your layering and pairing the different papers together, because that makes a big difference. Like the patterns, like what patterns are you going by? I usually use color as my thing. So I'm looking for colors and patterns that I know will kind of work together, as opposed to just like, oh, I like all these patterns. So like, don't get me wrong. Like I like to like the patterns that I'm using, but I do think about that aspect before I'm just putting it on, which is probably why sometimes it takes me a lot longer to create stuff, because I'm thinking a lot about the patterns and how they're going to go together, you know.
Right. But that's not a bad thing, though.
No.
It's just your process.
Yeah. Well, and like I realize that sometimes it just takes me longer to create something, and that's okay because I'm enjoying the process, right? So it's like it doesn't have to be like oh my gosh, it takes me so long, because it's not about how fast I've created a layout or how many layouts I create. Like, yes, I want to be productive and I want to feel like I've accomplished something, but if I end up with a layout at the end that I really love, it won't matter if I spent, you know, an hour on it or 2 hours on it.
No, definitely.
Like it doesn't matter. Okay, so the last thing is like collaging, and I feel like we see this more with junk journals or art journaling type things, where you're taking different papers and kind of like layering them a little bit different. And it's like, yes, it's a technique, but I feel like it's adjacent though, because it's also, I don't know, like Vicky Booten and Diane Reedley are really good about doing the collage thing. And I think it's more because it's the mixed media, like that's not their main. They also have an element that's on top of it that like really stands out. So it's really just a way to create some cool interest on a background without like it being the main focus. So it's not about all the different layers and all the different pieces of paper. It's because they end up being one paper, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, that does make sense.
And you can definitely do that on a background layout. It makes me think of like a mosaic, and you know, like how you could take different pieces and kind of like build something. Now here I am having epiphanies and going, oh, you could create. I'm thinking about Kristen's layout she did with Vicky Booten's summer thing, and she used a really cool cut file and did like, it's really pretty. It's like got the water and the sun, it's set or something, and like that would be really cool if you did something like that with paper and your background. So you know, you're welcome, guys. I just gave you an idea. Go ahead, steal it. But you know, so like stuff like that. But I think that sometimes that could be distracting on a layout if you're not careful, right? So I feel like that's more of like a art journaling type of concept, where you're gonna put like words on it, and it doesn't really, so it's just really more about being therapeutic, because I feel like collaging, there's not a lot of thought process in it, so you're like, it's more about the art therapy aspect, which I don't want to like disregard that, because sometimes that's what we need, right? Sometimes we need these little prompts, we need these little things to kind of help jumpstart and get our creativity flowing before we really sit down with a big project, a big layout, and take those big moments. Because sometimes I think that I don't even want to say for me, but sometimes we can often go, this picture means a lot to me, and I don't want to mess it up. And so you overthink it, and you end up not liking the layout, right? But it's your like favorite photo. So it's like trying, sometimes doing something like that in an art journal is a way to like kind of take the pressure off. You know, you did some really fun art stuff, and you know, built yourself up so that when you come to that, to do that layout, you end up with something that you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I would, if I seen this on Pinterest, I for sure would be doing this. Right? And that's the thing, is like going back to creators who are just really good at film, like taking a photo of their layout, or they're on a design team. It's like they've just honed their skill a little bit different, right? And sometimes we do put them on pedestals, but really, like, we all have the ability to create something similar. And I think this, I want to remind everybody, like, it's okay if you take someone else's layout for you in your own album and you're recreating something very similar. Like, it's okay to do that. It's okay to look and see, well, what did they do for the media? How did they layer the other elements of it? You know, the papers after they did that. Well, there's no reason why we can't do that, right? For the majority of us, we're just putting it in our album. Like some of us, yes, who are content scrapbooker creators, you know, we're sharing. So like you couldn't use it for a design team, you know, but like how many times we've really made it a cool thing to scrap lift other people and to use sketches. And I feel like that is so important for us to do, though, because that is how we learn. It is how you're going to learn how, like, what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add? Because I think we should finish up.
Yeah, no, I think we've talked a lot. Yeah, had a good conversation.
Okay, right? So hopefully this helps you guys with some techniques. If there's any techniques that we didn't talk about that you would like us to kind of recap or something, add it below. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of Scrappy Chats.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we'll talk more about mixed media. I know I wanted to have some people on, but now that summer's coming, I don't know how doable.
So hard.
June has been like extremely busy for me, way more busy than I thought it would be, and July is going to be equally busy. But we have some stuff going on. We have the crop coming up in August in our group. It's 90s themed, so super fun with that. We've been having a lot of fun working on like the background stuff of that, and it's going to be multiple days, so definitely check out our Facebook group and stuff. We always have challenges in there and lots of conversations and stuff, so feel free to share your work in there and join in the conversation and the challenges. But we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Okay, are we ready?
Okay.
This is a real start.
My eyes are like watering like crazy now.
It's because I made you laugh so hard.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I'm dying.
What is a good friend for? If I can't make you laugh so hard and cry and then pee your pants, you know? I mean,
I haven't done that yet, so we're good.
Well, hashtag life goals.
Oh my god.
Midlife life goals. Here we go. Okay. Holy cannoli. Okay, let's go.
Okay, we got this. We can do it.
I got it.
Go, Hannah, go.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
I was doing so good until, okay, or maybe not, because you're making faces at me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, gonna wipe the tears away again. Okay. Ready, set, go.
Welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Anna.
Sorry.
Are you going to make me redo this all? I got to redo it all over.
Oh my God.
It really only works better if it's like back to back. I'm telling you.
Okay. Sorry.
You got all the laughs out?
Yes.
For sure? Okay.
Yes.